Hey everyone, so this is episode 3 of 11/22/63. It's called Other Voices, Other Rooms. And so basically it starts off with Bill and Jake in the car driving, not really knowing where they're driving to at this point, just driving. And Bill's just asking Jake like um, what's this whole like he's continuing the conversation at the end of the last episode where he's like, what's this whole thing of like JFK getting assassinated on November 1st, and on in 1963 and everything. And this is now November 1st, 1960. And as Jake drives, Bill asks him. As Jake drives, he explains he is there to stop JFK from being assassinated. And he says I'm from the. And Jake's like, well, if you're really from the future, what time are you from? He's like 2016. Then they go to a motel where Bill continues to ask him. He asks him like, why didn't why not just kill him now? And Jake explains that Oswald is in Russia and everything is just complicated. And Bill just wants more proof that he's actually from the future, and Jake really can't answer that because how do you really prove that he's from the future? I mean, he can't really say anything that is too far in the future because that would mean that you would have to wait, like, if it's like 5 years in the future, you would have to wait 5 years for it to happen. If it's like 10 years in the future, you would have to wait 10 years, and it's like he really doesn't have that much time to wait around, so he doesn't really know how to answer it. And then Bill eventually asks Jake to save his sister Clara, but Jake's like he can't because it doesn't really work that way. And Jake then offers to pay Bill $100 to drive him to Dallas, which Bill agrees. Jake is a little while later after they had gone to sleep. Jake has a nightmare of killing Frank, wakes up and attacks Bill. And after everything calms down and everything, Jake sees lash marks on Bill's back. Then it goes to them eventually getting to Dallas, and Jake takes Bill to Daily Plaza, explaining what happened and what people think has happened. Like Jake's like, well, he points out the book depository that Oswald is going to work at, or going to eventually work at, and explains that people think that's where Oswald was when they say he shot Kennedy. And then he explains to this grassy area, I think they refer to it as the grassy knoll or something like that. I think I've heard that before or something. If I'm mistaken about that, please correct me. But yeah, he explains that there's another possible shooter on this grassy area that people think could have been, and so he just explains everything while there, and then you kind of see in a flashback of Al speaking that after Jacob died, everything, or there was just something broken in everyone that couldn't be fixed or couldn't ever be fixed, and that's a little like flashback scene that they kind of like happens throughout the whole season or series. Jake then explains that apparently Oswald tried to kill Walker, and Bill eventually gets in and says he wants to help save Kennedy as well. And Jake's like, Jake, to his better judgment and the advice that Al gives him, he lets Bill stay with him and help him on this mission, I guess you could call it. Then they drive to Jody, Texas, with Jake explaining that it's between Dallas and Fort Worth, and that Oswald will eventually live in both Dallas and Fort Worth. So that way, if Jake needs to go to either Dallas or Fort Worth, he could get there in equal amounts of time. Um, and then and he explains that by the time Oswald comes back from Russia, they will have set up an apartment in Fort Worth. Jake then interviews for a teaching position in the local high school in Jody. And before Jake gets hired, Principal Deke Simmons asks Jake what he thinks of Catcher in the Rye and if it should be in the library. Jake answers, well, this is America and the home of the free and the home of the brave, so people will get over it if it's in the library, and so therefore he's hired. Though apparently, according to Deke, that it really shouldn't, like, that book shouldn't be in the libraries. I mean, yeah, I can understand that people in that time thought this and everything, and so I'm not gonna hold it against him, because in this point in time in the 1960s, people really didn't like the book, and didn't like it being taught in schools or anything. Deke Simmons hires Jake as a teacher there, as a permanent teacher there, and then instructs Jake to talk to Miss Mimi, who is a black woman working as a secretary in the school, to give him the details so that of where he's living and everything, so they can, like, send him his check or whatever for him working there. Then Jake goes outside and Bill's like, we need to celebrate this new job in Dallas. So they end up going to, I think, a modern 1960s strip club. It's not really a strip club, so I don't really think they're taking off any clothes. But anyway, so they go there, and Bill is clearly drunk, or has been drinking heavily, and he starts talking loudly. It's like, woo, yeah, like just all this typical male shit that you see in fucking movies and television when a guy goes to a strip club. And a man named Jack Ruby comes over, and Jake introduces Bill as his little brother, and apologizes for Bill's rowdiness. And then eventually Bill's like, yeah, this guy, and he's talking to Jack Ruby about and says stuff about Jake, and he's like, yeah, this guy's going places, and he's doing stuff, and he's like, yeah, it's just like, really, come on, Bill, why are you gonna blackface? Like, I get that you want to have a good time, but really, obviously, you can't hold your damn mouth when you drink. So he kind of need to be, like, taken away from alcohol. And then the next day, or the next morning, Jake quizzes Bill on their story before Bill drives Jake to school. And then in the front office, Jake in front of everyone, asks Miss Mimi if he can pour her a cup of coffee. Everyone around him stops what the fuck they're doing. Even the kids who are in the front office trying to change their schedule to stop what they're doing and turn towards Bill. Like, everyone is doing this, including Miss Mimi, because it's like, in this point in time, you have to remember that, like, it was literally unheard of for a white man to do anything for a black man or black person, regardless. Even a white woman, it's like anybody white would never fucking, like, ask Miss Mimi if she wanted a cup of coffee. It was usually up to Miss Mimi to be like, well, can I get you a cup of coffee, Jake? Not the other way around. So it's just like, so it's just like, really, Jake? Come on, I get that you're new to this, but, like, new to this time period and everything, but come on now. Kind of need to get it together a little bit quicker if you're gonna, try to blend in here. And she's like she doesn't she looks kind of perplexed because she doesn't really know what to say to this, because clearly this doesn't happen that often. So it's something that's not really that kind of takes people back and everything, and so she doesn't really know what to say to this at first, and so she's like, no, I would not like a cup of coffee after like several awkward, very awkward moments. And then it then goes to 2 years later in 1962, and Jake is teaching his English class. Then you see him go to the gymnasium, where several students are helping to set up for a dance that's going to be in the gym. And he is, he's there helping, and helping the whole thing, and he is told Miss Mimi wants to speak to him, so he goes up to her, and there's this woman standing next to him who you don't really know, you can't really make out who it is at first, and Miss Mimi introduces the woman sitting next to her to Jake, which happens to be Sadie. Sadie from 2 years prior, who he bumped into when he first arrived in Dallas the first time. Jake informed that Sadie is the new librarian. Jake says that he's glad that her husband isn't mad, and she's like, there's no husband at all. And Jake doesn't clearly doesn't get it that she's trying not to come off as someone who is married or recently divorced. And so Jake continues like, well, I saw the ring. It's like Sadie's like, there is no husband at all. Basically, she didn't really say it that slowly and that distinctly, but she might as well have. And finally, it sinks into Jake that she doesn't want to talk about or bring it up. And it's just like, it's kind of like a facepalm moment where it's like, come on, Jake, like really, after all this time, you really can't catch on, like. Especially, it's not really that difficult to understand that she doesn't really want to talk about it, and clearly she doesn't want to talk about it, but clearly he's that damn desperate. I mean, I'm always hearing that what guys don't take hints that well, but this really wasn't a hint. It was a hint, but it was like a very straightforward hint that she doesn't want to talk about it, and he still kept talking about it. I'm just like, I mean, it's instances like this is where I can't help but wonder if men saying they don't take hints well as an excuse to not listen. It's just like, anyway. So Miss Mimi says that Sadie has volunteered to chaperone the dance that's later that night, but she can't do it alone because it's going to be over like 100 people, or over like 50 people or 50 students that are going to go there. And so Miss Mimi asks if he can do it as well, but he's like, I have a commitment, and even though I would hate to say no, but I have a commitment already, and everyone's telling them to just do it, to just go ahead and do it, and so including Deke Simmons, and then eventually he agrees to do it. Anyway, so back in Fort Worth, Texas, Jake tells Bill that that it will be his home base. And Jake will only be there part-time. Although it seems like, actually, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that, because that to me, that's foreshadowing, or telling people what will happen in the future. So I'm not going to say what I was just about to say. So they eventually get an apartment across the street from where Oswald will eventually move into in a few days. And then the next scene shows Jake driving up to a gas station, um, for gas when Miss Mimi walks out. She explains to him that she has run out of gas and she walked 12 blocks to the gas station to get it, and is told that she won't be sold any gas, whether it's in a container or in a car or whatever. I mean, clearly it's not for the car, but I mean, regardless of where it's put, she's not being sold gas. So Jake tries to buy the gas for her, and the gas station attendant says he won't sell it to him, and Jake just grabs a gas can anyway from his Mimi, puts gas in his own car, then pays for the gas himself, then before driving Miss Mimi home. I want to just slow clap for Jake Amberson at this point, or Jake effing this one. Just like, yes. I was like, yes, Jake. I was like, you're not an evil human being. So, anyway, that was me. I was like, that was just me, but I was really happy at Jake at this point in time, even though I felt up to this point he's been doing stupid shit, quite a few stupid shit too, not just one or two things. And then it goes to Lovefield, Texas, where Oswald comes back from Russia, where he lands in Texas, and his wife and newborn baby are there. And then Oswald, when he's greeted by his mother and his brother, he makes a scene about how reporters aren't there, because he wants people to congratulate him for coming home finally. It's just like, boy, get over yourself. Like, come on, like, it's not like you saved people's lives from being killed or hurt or whatever. It's not like that. I mean, you literally defected to fucking Russia, and then now you want to come back and you want to be congratulated for that? Like, fuck you. Like, get your life. Like, come on. Anyway, so Jake is then seen explaining to Bill that Oswald stay with his mother for a week, so they have to bug his house that night, or his apartment that night, and then the scene kind of morphs into an extension scene where Jake and Bill are getting the microphones to bug Oswald's house with, and Jake has lied to the guy who supplied him the microphones, saying that the reason why he was using these microphones was to quote unquote bug his wife's house, because they're going through this divorce, they're separated and they're going through this divorce and everything. And then that whole thing happens. Like, Jake, what? Okay. I mean, I guess I understand it, but I'm just like, whatever. Anyway, so back in Jody, the dance is in full swing, and he and Sadie catch a couple of, I guess you can call them jocks, trying to spike the punch. And so they confiscate the alcohol, then bring the punch away to a back room to inspect it. And in the back room, Jake, says he's sorry for bringing up her husband, and Sadie's like, well, yeah, okay, thank you for saying sorry, but it's just that the reason I didn't want to bring it up is because being a divorced person in this day and age is different for a woman than it is for a man. And which I'm not going to dispute, because it's I think it's fairly accurate. So so. I mean, it's just different for her, at least in this point, in this day and age, or this in this time period, that it's different for a woman than it is for a man when they reveal that they are divorced. So yeah. Then back in the gymnasium, the students are all doing this dance that everyone can do, um, and when the song ends, someone on the mic on the loudspeaker announces that they're putting on a song that was popular back in the day when Jake and Sadie were young. uh, I wanted to laugh so hard at that comment because I was like, well, if they knew what the audience knows, or what the viewers of their show know, then they would know that Jake really wasn't. They would know that Jake really wasn't born in like 1930. So, like sometime between 1925 and 1935. So, anyway, so Jake and Sadie dance in this shining spotlight that's on them. And then when the song finishes, he sees the time on the clock that's mounted on one of the gymnasium walls, and notices that he needs to get back to Fort Worth, and he says that he has an emergency and that he'll be back in like an hour or two, and then leaves Sadie to chaperone by herself, which she clearly is not that happy about. So back in Fort Worth, Jake and Bill bug Oswald's house and are almost caught, but then hide in a closet. Eventually, they go up into the crawl space that's above the apartment, and Bill starts screaming because he apparently touches some spiders, and as a result, Oswald hears them and then tries to figure out where they are and who it is. Jake explains that it was just, once back in their apartment, that it was just the past pushing back at them when Bill says that he's sorry for screaming. And then Jake checks his watch and sees that he's been gone longer than he thought he was going to be gone. And doesn't go back to, or seemingly doesn't go back to the dance, because possibly the dance is already over. Then the next day, when Jake's getting his inner office mail, Sadie comes up beside him and she gets her mail, and he tries to apologize, but she just kind of like, well, whatever. I'm not telling you anymore. Just leave me alone. Miss Mimi gives her 2 cents on about his leaving Sadie to chaperone alone. Then seemingly the next scene is where it seems like Jake and Bill are listening to the Oswalds talk for the next few days, or over the next few days. I'm not sure if it's days or not, or if it's just like 1 or 2, or just a few hours or whatever. But yeah, they listen to him talk, and then George de Monteshield comes to see Oswald. And once de Monteshield comes inside, they only speak in Russian, and then George and Oswald leave the house and take a walk to kind of talk about things. And then Jake's like, fuck, we need to get a Russian to English dictionary, Russian to English, English to Russian dictionary, because if this keeps going where they keep talking only in Russian, we're not going to understand what the fuck they're talking about. So Jake leaves to go to the library to see if there's a Russian to English dictionary, and I think he gets it, but then when he comes back, he sees that Bill is lying on the floor unconscious, and he wakes Bill up, And Bill says that Raphael, a person who they encountered several times in this episode previously, had beat him up and took the machines. They then go back to get they charge into Raphael's apartment and say, FBI, you're disrupting an FBI investigation, yada yada yada, and basically they're giving the machines back. And then the next day, at school, Sadie is outside the library, and she drops some books, and he tries to help her, but she again rebuffs him. And then he continues, and it's like he explains and says that he's sorry. And then he's cut off when she kisses him. And then they kind of make plans to go out on a date in a few days. And she warns him if he ever does that to her again, or to never do that to him again. And then basically the last scene of the episode, you see Bill and Jake follow Oswald to a Sister of Southern Heritage rally where George de Mohrenschildt brings him, and Jake explains that de Mohrenschildt brought Oswald here to debate him and get his blood boiling. And then Jake says that he and Bill need to leave at the end of the meeting when the meeting's all over. When someone invites them to, stay a little bit longer and everything. But as they try to leave, Oswald makes a scene in front of everyone, in regards to talking to the Mohrenschildt, and also calls him a fascist, and says that this was what the Mohrenschildt is talking about is basically what it was like in Berlin in 1920s and 1930s, leading up to World War II and everything. So basically that's the whole end of the scene. And that's the end of the episode. So basically, as much as I think Jake is up until this point in the series, as much as I think that Jake is doing something, I guess you could say, noble and trying to fix the past and change it and make it better, he's doing some stuff that's really not even good, because he's some of the things he's doing despite Al's warnings not to do it. Like, he's getting this flashy car, even though he's not supposed to get this flashy car, because he needs to blend in and not have people, not have people be like, not have any attraction come towards his way. He's allowing someone to help him with his mission, even though he's not supposed to be getting close to anybody. And he starts dating this, he starts getting interested in dating this woman, even though he's not supposed to be, getting involved with anyone, because eventually you're gonna have to leave them. And if you start getting involved with someone, it's gonna be that much harder to leave that person when you finally change the past the way you want it, the way you think the past should have been changed or should have happened. And so it's basically going to be that much harder to leave the people that you get close to, and that's why Al's like, don't get close to anyone, and yet he does it anyway. And so it's just like, yeah, he has some redeeming actions, like when he speaks up to Miss Mimi, he speaks up for Miss Mimi at the gas station. Yeah, I commend him for doing that, because that was the right thing to do. that was the right thing to do and everything. But for the most part, the things that he does are you know more towards of him doing the wrong thing and everything. It's just like, come on, Jake. Like, I mean, and as much as I really kind of wanted Bill and Jake's partnership to work, I had at this point in the series, I had a feeling it really wasn't gonna last. And I really just think that it's what I didn't think it was really gonna last or anything. Um, but yeah. With that said, that's all I really have to say about the episode. So please comment below and with your thoughts on the episodes to this point in the series, because I would love to talk about it and see other people's perspectives on what you think is going on in this series. And with that, please hit like if you like this video and hit subscribe if you want to see more of my videos when they're uploaded in the future. And I'll see you next time in the next 11/22/63 episode. But with that, I also want to say that I think I will put more put more videos up more frequently for 11/22/63 rather than just once a week. But that is yet to be seen. I don't know yet if I will do that, but I will let you know a little bit later this week if I decide to do that. With that said, I will see you guys later in the next video. Bye.